Starting Differin or Adapalene can be so exciting, but so terrifying because everyone warns you that it gets worse before it gets better, but there is a lot that people do wrong when they are starting retinoids. So after 60 days on Adapalene, here's what happened to my skin and all the things that I did to minimize redness, irritation, the purge, the breakouts, and get results. So let's get into it. Before we start, I just want to say welcome to the Be So Good channel, where we're all about elevating ourselves to be our best, both inside and out. It's so good to have you here. Let's dive in. For a little brief skin history, as well as why I chose to use Adapalene as my retinoid of choice. I am 28 years old. I have very combination, extremely acne prone, very oily when it comes to like my forehead and my T-zone, super sensitive skin. I react to a lot of different things, and I do have a little bit of rosacea as well. So I am a whole host of combination of things that you would maybe think like, why are you gonna try Adapalene? But essentially working with my derm, it is what she decided was the best course of action to tackle a little bit of the leftover non-inflammatory acne that I have. For context, if you're new to my channel, first, hi, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I have a lot of videos of skincare, and I go really into depth on how I got rid of my clogged pores, all my closed comedones, my non-inflamed acne, honestly, over like 90%. I'll have that video linked down below in the description and also at the end of this video, because I think it really goes into a lot of detail when it comes to that, and I won't cover that in today's video. Otherwise, I will be here for 5 million hours, and you don't want that. But essentially, my journey to Adapalene started first with getting rid of a lot of my closed comedones and my cystic acne that was also coming into some areas. A lot of people start straight into Adapalene. It is great for non-inflammatory acne. Personally, we tackled that first with benzoyl peroxide and clindamycin, and we worked our way up to introduce Adapalene, which now it's been 60 days. And man, oh man, has it been a journey, but we'll get there. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a brief history on my skin type. And honestly, the tips and the tricks and everything that I'm going to be talking about today can apply to any skin type and really just anyone that's going to start incorporating Adapalene or Differin. It's the same exact thing. Or if you're going to incorporate just retinoids in general, this is also going to be super helpful. So let's get into the week by week breakdown. So before I started incorporating Adapalene, I was using benzoyl peroxide, clindamycin, and azelaic acid. Those were my actives of choice to really help my non-inflammatory acne, my redness, my very sensitive skin, and a very simple skincare routine. I'll also have all my skincare recommendations linked down below, and my Shop My link, I link everything there, all my favorite moisturizers, my cleansers, even things like my jewelry, just anything that I feel like has elevated my life, I have linked in my Shop My, so I'll have that down below. And I also cover my exact skincare routine in some of my other videos, so I'll link my skincare playlist down below as well. But essentially, my start of using Adapalene, this is my little Adapalene tube here. It looks different than Differin or the La Roche-Posay Adapalene that you can get here in the US, because I did get this in Argentina, but it's the same exact thing. It's 0.01% Adapalene, I believe is what it is. And it's a very, very similar formulation. This one does come formulated with 4% niacinamide as well. The ones here don't have that. So I just wanted to make that little disclaimer about the one that I'm particularly using. But when I started this, I really went slow. So when they tell you slow and steady wins the race, they are not lying to you. You have to go slow, especially if you have sensitive skin, if you have rosacea or you're prone to a little bit of rosacea. Always when you're starting any type of retinoid, whether that's Adapalene, whether that's tretinoin, whether that's retinols, retinols, I can make a separate video if you want me to detail all the different ones. But whatever it is that you're starting, it's always better to go slow. I started off the first 4 weeks, yes, the first whole 4 weeks, using this only one time a week. And not only just using it one time a week, but I probably used a little bit less than a pea-sized amount, just because it is a gel. It spreads really easily, and I had found that when I first started doing like a big pea-sized amount, it was way too much for my skin. Something else that I found for the first 4 weeks is that I did have a little bit of a purge. My skin definitely had to get acclimated to it. I started getting kind of like little pustules, little pimples, also in places where I had closed comedones that had been there for so long. That's also how you can differentiate between if you're purging. Purging just means that things that have been underneath the surface are finally coming out, which is what happens a lot when you introduce active ingredients. You feel like your skin gets worse before it gets better, and that's because it's bringing everything from underneath out. So it temporarily is getting worse, but it's actually a good thing because it's just bringing it out so that it can get rid of it and you can get the nice fresh skin that's underneath. That being said, that's different than irritation, where you feel stinging, redness, maybe you're breaking out way more or in areas that you never break out. That could be caused by irritation or a broken skin barrier, which I also have a separate video on skin barrier and how I heal mine whenever I've damaged it, which has definitely happened within the first 4 weeks of incorporating this. The few times that I tried to introduce Adapalene in the past, I started off with 2 to 3 times a week and my skin was not having it, and I had to quit probably like 3 different times. And this time I told myself, this time we have to play the long game. I want to be able to incorporate this skin care ingredient into my routine, and I want my skin to be able to tolerate it as best as possible. So I finally started with once a week, and let me tell you that it was the way to go. Starting once a week allowed my skin to have a little bit of the purge. I still had a lot of dryness, a lot of like flakiness. It was weird. It wouldn't happen necessarily the day after I would apply Adapalene, but it would happen like 2 to 3 days after, where I would like put on my sunscreen and like my skin was kind of just peeling off, which is basically what it does. Like what Adapalene, what retinoids do, what vitamin A does, it really increases your cell skin turnover. So that's what it's supposed to be doing. But I found that I thought my skin was totally fine. And then the second or third day after applying it is when I would start to get the redness or the little bit of purging, the breakouts coming in. So just know that that's normal. Those were my first 4 weeks. I kept things very simple. Please make sure that you're using a lot of sunscreen. Your skin is gonna be way more sensitized to the skin, so it is super important that you are putting your sun protection on. Also, what I used, because I was using it once a week to start with, I knew that I wouldn't put the days that I was gonna use Adapalene close to days where I was gonna be in the sun a lot. I live in Florida. The UV index here right now, that summer is here, is extremely high. So I know a lot of people allocate one specific day, like let's say all Saturdays to use it. I didn't like doing that. I actually used my skincare tracker, which I'll have linked down below as well. I've talked about it in my other videos, but I made this free printable PDF skincare tracker where you can just fill in your skincare routine and track what ingredients you're using on what day so that you don't forget, and you can kind of go back and see like what's been working, what's not been working, and work on figuring out what works best for your skin. So I used my skincare tracker to decide the days that I was going to be using Adapalene based on when I was going to be in the sun and when I wasn't, because if I would have just picked like let's say Saturdays to put on Adapalene, and then on Friday I'm going to the beach, and then Saturday morning I'm going to the beach. This is just an example, but it wouldn't make any sense for me to have Adapalene that night because maybe I was indoors all of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it'd make way more sense for me to put Adapalene on Monday night. So the skincare tracker just really helped me plan my days of when I was going to use Adapalene. But I started off weeks 1 through week 4 just with one tiny pea-sized amount over a hyaluronic acid serum on completely dry skin. For me, this works really well. It's not the complete buffer method, which I know a lot of people like, which is where you put moisturizer, the retinoid, and then moisturizer. I like to use a light hyaluronic acid serum that has aloe vera and a couple other very soothing, hydrating ingredients. Wait for that to completely, like bone dry, completely dry down. Then I'll put my little bit of Adapalene all over my face. I take one small pea-sized amount, dot it all over, really avoid the areas. I avoid like my smile lines, obviously around my eyes. I'll usually put a little bit of like Cicaplast gel to create a little like goggle so that it doesn't go around that area. And then just spread it a nice little thin layer. Even if you think that you're not putting on enough, I promise you it's enough. It is going all over your face. You do not need to be applying more. And then wait like 10 minutes for that to dry and go in with my Holy Grail moisturizer that I've talked about a million times in all my other videos too. And I'll also have this and everything else that I talk about linked down below, but it's my La Roche-Posay Tolerant Sensitive Fluid. It's so great, super lightweight, and it's paired really nice with my Adapalene. And once week 1 through 4 was over and my skin was starting to tolerate it a little bit better, then on weeks 4 through 8, so to complete the 60 days essentially, I have moved up to 2 times a week, and now I am using it 2 times a week. I'll insert how I'm using it here in my schedule. Same thing, still using my tracker to keep track of when I'm using it, giving it enough rest in between days, and now my skin has tolerated the 2 times a week, and I'm very excited to possibly bump it up to 3 times a week, probably after week 9. Again, I've had a lot of PTSD of trying to incorporate it way too fast, and every single time I tell myself, have you learned your lesson? Like, how many times are you gonna burn off your face? It is not fun to have an irritated skin barrier, for it to be like red, for it to sting, for everything to just irritate it. Like, that is not fun. I have done that so many times because I try to go faster than what my personal skin can tolerate. So this is your sign to please listen to your skin. Just because a frequency works for someone else doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you. And it is always better to go slower, even if it takes a little bit longer. It's so much better than burning your face off and then having to heal it and then kind of doing it again. And it's just a vicious cycle that you don't want to be in. So please learn from my mistakes and go slow. It is so worth it. So now let's talk about the good, the bad, and just the purge overall. So the good things that I've noticed, I feel like I am finally through kind of my initial little purging stage. Obviously, I know that the goal is to try to use Adapalene as many times as you can in a week. That's how retinoids work. You are supposed to use them, if you can, nightly or 4 to 5 times a week. That is what I am hoping that I can build up to. But like I said, I chose the slow route and I am happy that I did so far. I'll keep making videos so that you can see my progress and hopefully how I work myself up to that frequency. But I have noticed, so at the beginning, like I said, I definitely had a little bit of purging. I was getting my little closed comedones that had been there forever finally coming to the surface as a little bit more inflamed. I was having a lot more redness, more sensitivity, flakiness, everything, even though I was only using it once a week. By week, I want to say maybe like 6 is where I started to see more progress in the sense of like a lot smoother texture. For context, today I'm only wearing untinted clear SPF with a little bit of the Color Science blush, which is also SPF. It's my favorite SPF blush. I'll also have that linked down below in my shop my. And then I just have mascara and a little bit of lip gloss, but everything else of my face has no makeup on. It just has untinted sunscreen so that you can kind of see what my skin is looking like. Obviously, by no means I'm not perfect, but I just wanted to be transparent and kind of show how it looks. So I'll come a little bit closer. Overall, I feel like it's pretty glowy. The texture, like when I cleanse my face, feels really nice and even. I don't feel like tiny little micro pebbles, which are kind of those micro comedones forming. I will let you know if this helps me with my wrinkles. I'm throwing myself under the bus here, but the wrinkles that I hope that this will help reduce is my little forehead dehydration. Well, I say they're dehydration, but there probably are wrinkles. I mean, I am 28, it makes sense. I also like have a lot of facial expressions. I don't have any Botox in my face or anything like that as of now of me making this video. So obviously I have some expression lines, and unfortunately I am a huge side sleeper. And I just like completely, you know, smush my face in the ways that are not great for wrinkles. They induce a lot of wrinkles, but I love sleeping like that. So like, what am I gonna do? Unfortunately, I can't sleep like a mummy. Even if I tried, I'm gonna wake up in whatever position. So it is what it is. Another thing that you need to know is gonna happen is that your makeup is gonna pill. You are gonna have like flakes that come throughout the day just randomly. Like all of a sudden, maybe your face felt hydrated in the morning and it felt good. And then you had to apply makeup, whether it's for work or for an event or something. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, my face is like flaking off, it's peeling off. That's normal. That comes with just getting acclimated, is what they call it, to the retinoid. Hopefully that's going to completely go away. It's gotten better, but it still definitely happens sometimes. And then the purge is really different for everybody. Like I said, I fortunately took care of a lot of my non-inflamed acne and any of my cystic pimples before I got on Adapalene, which is not what a lot of people do. Obviously, Adapalene is meant for those things. So I feel like people's purges can be really strong because that is what they're starting with. So all those little comedones are coming to the surface at once, and it can be really scary. But I personally had actually gotten rid of a lot of that with benzoyl peroxide, with clindamycin, with azelaic acid first. So I feel like that really helped my purge not be as bad at all. I feel like if I would have gone in straight with the Adapalene when my skin was at its worst, it probably would have been horrifying. And I don't know if mentally I would have been able to pull through it. But because I did it a little bit differently and I kind of took care of those things beforehand and then started incorporating Adapalene, and I am incorporating it extremely slowly, I feel like that has definitely helped. And also everyone's purge is gonna last different amounts of times. I have been through all the Reddit posts. I have watched so many videos before making my own, and it really is different for people. Some people don't have a purge at all. God bless you, like that's amazing. Some people can purge for like over 12 weeks. So it really is different. Like I said, it's gonna depend also on what your other skincare ingredients and things that you're using are, because they could be reclogging your pores if you're using something that's comedogenic or that your skin doesn't like. So I also would highly recommend that you find a staple base routine before you start to incorporate adapalene, like a cleanser that you know that your skin loves, that doesn't break you out, that is very mild, doesn't have any actives, a moisturizer that is lightweight or super hydrating if you have really dry skin, and something that you also know in general does not break you out and doesn't cause irritation. Like finding those core products before you start this journey is going to help you a lot throughout the journey, so that you're also not trying random things and just doing this whole cocktail on your face and you don't know what's doing what. You do not want to be in what we call skincare jail. Again, I'm telling you because I have done it and it is not a fun place to be. So find your core routine products first, and then also start to incorporate whatever your retinoid of choice is. So now I want to get into what are some of the things that helped me survive my little purge. Number one thing that has helped me is not picking at my skin. And this is coming from someone who is a huge skin picker. I for sure struggled with dermatillomania for a few years. I do want to make a separate video on my skin picking journey and all the tools and things that I tried, what worked, what didn't work, and how I kind of finally broke that cycle. Doesn't mean that I don't have mini relapses every now and then, that I don't pick at a couple blackheads or a couple incoming, pimples. Like, we're human, it happens. I regret it every single time, but it happens. I am not perfect. But not picking at my skin 99% of the time has been so beneficial, and not making the purge last longer and making my skin scar or anything like that. Another thing which I mentioned in the previous point is keeping a very minimal skincare routine, a gentle cleanser. You can watch any of my other videos where I specifically talk about different products, but I love the Vanity Cream Cleanser and the Dr. Sam's Flawless Cleanser. That's the one that I'm currently using. A very simple moisturizer that is hydrating enough for your skin and how your skin responds to the retinoid or the adapalene. Also totally normal if you need a different daytime moisturizer and a nighttime moisturizer depending on the climate and the environment that you live in. And just having a couple SOS barrier repair products. I've talked about these before, but the Cyclofate or the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm B5 can be very helpful if you did get a retinoid burn and if your whole face feels like it's on fire and it's burning and you just messed up your skin barrier. That definitely happened to me within the first 4 weeks. So having these on hand is extremely helpful for those SOS moments. So would I recommend it? So far, my answer is yes. I do like what it has been doing to my skin. Now that my skin has started to acclimate, I do feel like my skin texture has gotten better. It's overall a lot kind of glowier. It's funny because some people say they don't like kind of that like waxy, glowy skin, or what they can tell when someone's on like a tretinoin or an adapalene. I personally think it's gorgeous. I was like, I want that very like waxy, glassy, glowy looking skin. So I love that it is slowly doing that to my skin, and hopefully it only gets better. Like I said, hopefully it helps with a little bit of anti-aging. Tretinoin is just way too strong for me to even consider, so I definitely wanted to start with adapalene first. I do not think that it's for everybody. It is strong. She is strong, okay? Like if you have a really bad rosacea, or if you have been on your adapalene journey for like 5-6 months and your skin is not liking it at all, like it's not gonna work for everyone. That's like every skincare ingredient. Just because there's science backed behind it does not always mean that it's gonna work for your skin. That's why you have to, try to do your best, do all the right steps, and then really pay attention to your skin. Give the products time to work, keep things really simple, also so that you know if it's the product that's not working or if it's something else in your routine that could actually be the culprit and it's not even the adapalene or the Differin. But she is strong, she is not for everyone, but for the people that she does work for, she can have great results. So be patient, do not get discouraged. If you are on Differin or Adapalene or started tretinoin and you're stuck in the purge, let me know in the comments below, or let me know what your top tips or ride or die products have been to help you on this journey, or any questions that you may have. I would love to answer them in the comments. And as always, if you got any value at all from this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope to catch you in my next one.